way this series started between the Phils and the Padres, it was nice that the Phillies got the win in last night's ball game. Game number 1, Jerome Williams was outstanding. He went 7 2/3. That's the only run he allowed. It was an unearned run, and that's all Andrew Cashner, the starter for the Padres, needed. He was right around the plate with every single pitch. In fact, he didn't allow a hit until the 5th inning. It was a bunt single by Dominic Brown. He was able to cruise to the victory. Game number 2, little different story. The Phillies had the lead against Ian Kennedy. In fact, Kennedy was about to exit the ball game when he was trailing by 1, but then Alexi Amarista, who finished a triple away from the cycle, gave the Padres the lead in the bottom of the 6th inning, and that's all they needed to walk away with game number 2. Game 3, now this was a little different story. Eric Stoltz was very good for the Padres. The Phillies had been set down 12 straight times before Freddie Galvis and the rest of the Phils peppered him with one single after another, and then Ben Revere's 2-run double inside the third base bag gave the Phillies enough runs, because this guy right here was outstanding. Now, early on, he wasn't as sharp, but Cole Hamels was around the strike zone. He was a little up with his fastball, which topped out at 95, but it was a good up for him to pick up the victory. And now we get set for the finale of this 4-game series. The Phils trying to even it up before they head to Oakland for a weekend series. It's Game 4 here at Petco Park. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom McCarthy, joined by Jamie Moyer. The Phillies trying to even up this series. They'll give the baseball to Kyle Kendrick tonight. And now Kyle told you the other day, Jamie, that his goal is to just finish strong, because it hasn't been a great 2014.
You know, he's had his struggles during the course of the season, but Kyle is going in the right direction. He's first of all concerned he wants to bring quality innings to this ball club, even his remaining 2 starts. He has the opportunity to get to his 10th win tonight. Also, move him closer to the 200-inning plateau. He has never attained that plateau, and it's a goal of his, and I commend him for that. But if he can get back to where he was pitching, the way he was pitching earlier in the season here against the Padres, a lot of depth, using all of his pitches, and really relying on good defense from his defensive players, it really is important for Kyle. Kyle needs a full team effort when he wins games.
Well, the Phillies are trying to finish off their record against the National League West in a very positive way. A win tonight would give them 18 victories. Now, they aren't above 500 against anybody else. They have a chance to finish at 500 against the National League East, but winning tonight would give them 18 wins against the National League West. All right, Maikel Franco is in the lineup again for the Phils. Boy, he played really well defensively last night.
He's really looking comfortable. You know, you don't realize he's always been up here a couple of weeks, but the way he's playing defense right now, here he goes to his left, starts a great double play, throws kind of off the wrong foot, great feed to Chase, but then chases a ball over down the left field line, stays with this pop-up. That's a difficult pop-up and makes it look easy.
I asked him today about it. I said, those are 2 really hard plays, and he looked at me and said, they were. The wall was getting in the way on that pop-up, so he said he was a little concerned. So the Phils will have Franco out there again tonight as they try to solve the San Diego Padres. Robbie Erlin will get the start for the Padres. This will be his 9th Major League appearance here in 2014. Of course, Kendrick making his 31st start of the season. When we return, we'll go to the Comcast Sportsnet studios. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. By Toyota, where will Toyota take you? Visit buyatoyota.com to find out. Toyota, let's go places. By Citizens Bank, introducing One Deposit Checking. Keeping things simple is helping you bank better. By Budweiser, here's to Budweiser, here's to baseball. And by Independence Blue Cross, the most preferred health plan in the region. Independence Blue Cross, live fearless. Padres. He actually had a pretty busy day, which we'll talk about in just a little bit, getting himself hopefully ready to play maybe this weekend against the Oakland A's. Here's the Phillies lineup. It's brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Revere, Galvis, and Bird, followed by Darren Ruff, Franco, and Brown. And then the bottom third of Will Nieves, Andres Blanco, and Kyle Kendrick. And they'll face left-hander Robbie Erlin. He's ready to go. Erlin making his first start since May. He has started 8 games previously, 10 games overall, with a 3-4 record, and we're underway in the final game of this 4-game series. Erlin is facing the Phillies tonight instead of Tyson Ross, who's got a little discomfort in his throwing arm. 1 ball, 1 strike to Revere. All right, Jamie, let's take a look at the Budweiser scouting report on Robbie Erlin.
Well, he's a 4-pitch pitcher, fastball, curveball, slider, changeup. Nothing too fancy, a lot like Eric Stoltz. 90-mile-an-hour fastball, 74-mile-an-hour curveball, 80-mile-an-hour slider, 83-mile-an-hour changeup. Left-handed hitters are hitting 236 against him, and right-handers are hitting 309.
Part of the reason why guys like Darren Ruff are in the lineup again tonight. Marlon Byrd obviously playing right field. Maikel Franco playing third. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Ben Revere. Revere hitting 306 this season. 2 home runs, 25 runs batted in, and he fouls that one down the left field line out of play. Ben at 306. The leader in the National League is Josh Harrison. Harrison and Morneau now are sort of teetering back and forth for the batting title. Harrison's at 320 for the season.
Wow, he really bumped up in the last week to 10 days.
He and Morneau, they're finishing strong. There's going to be a race for that batting title, and it's going to come down to those 2 guys, it seems. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Revere. Inside, according to Jim Wolf, and it's 3-2. How far will Robbie Erlin go tonight? Well, that remains to be seen. He's battled some elbow soreness throughout the course of this season. Ground ball, first base, and it's picked up by Medica. Okay, Jamie, before we go too far, it's time now for our Nissan keys to the game.
Well, tonight it's 1 key, and my key tonight is for the younger guys to bring some energy to this game.
I think there wasn't much energy the last couple of days.
Well, you know, I think we've it'd be nice to see the youthful.
I agree.
The youth of these kids really bring a spark to this ball club.
Freddie Galvis takes low. Speaking of youth,
kind of let their hair down.
Watch the hair jokes there, Jamie.
I'm sorry, Tom.
Freddie Galvis 2 for 9 in this series. He's had a pretty productive series for the Phillies, offensively and defensively. 1 ball and 1 strike to Galvis. Yeah, Ryan Sandberg, talking about his lineup today, said, well, again, this is the lineup I feel gives us the best chance to win. As that one's lined toward left center field, that'll be in for an extra base hit. Maben is able to knock it down, but Galvis will still get to second base. It's a 1-out double, his second double of the year. And now Marlon Byrd will come up.
You see Freddie gets a slider right here and hits it in the gap. Hits it quite hard. Maben has to make a great effort to stop that ball before it gets to the warning track.
I think if it had gotten to the wall, I thought Galvis might have a chance to go to third, but he wasn't even at second base when the throw started coming in. So maybe he, in his mind, thought, all right, that's a double all the way. That's one of the deeper parts of the ballpark, though, left center field where that ball was heading. Marlon Byrd takes on the outside corner. It's 0-1. The Lucky McDonald's Phillies home run jackpot contestant is Sam Westfall of Egg Harbor Township. Phillies hit a home run in today's ball game, and Sam will win $200. There's a line drive caught over at third by Spangenberg. Yeah, there are 2 outs. Well, they did say that Spangenberg would play all over, and now he's over at third base here tonight. I think Bud Black is thinking the same thing you're thinking as far as the young kids go for his Padres, is maybe get those youngsters to let their hair down a little bit, add a little energy to the ballpark. Here's Darren Ruff. Ruff takes a strike. It's 0-1. 247, 3 home runs, 8 runs batted in. Just a bit inside, 1-1.
Cooled off a little bit here, Tom, compared to the last 3 days.
Game time temperature is a comfortable 74 degrees.
Very nice.
Now this is more like the place that you call home now. In the dirt, 2-1. Although you're about 35 minutes north, so it is a little warmer up there.
It is. We're inland a little further too. So the further you go inland, you're getting more into the desert region, and it is a tad bit warmer.
But it is a comfortable night to be in the park. Watching the ball game. 2-2 to Ruff as he fouls it off. Two balls, 2 strikes. Darren playing first tonight for Ryan Howard. Ryan Sandberg talked at length today about Howard. Outside, 3-2, second 3-ball count of this first inning. There is the birthday boy, Ryan Sandberg, celebrating his 55th birthday today. Said his grandkids called him early today. Wish him happy birthday. Swing and a miss. He got Darren Ruff. So the Phillies threaten but do not score here in the first. No runs, 1 hit and 1 man left. Kyle Kendrick striving for 10 wins. The quest begins next.
Pepper pot.
Bottom of the first inning, Phillies went down not so quietly, but went down in their half of the first. Let's take a look at Bud Black's starting lineup for today, brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Spangenberg leads it off at third, then Will Venable and Jed Jerko. Yasmani Grandal is behind the plate. Seth Smith, the left fielder, bats fifth. Tommy Mennica sixth. And the bottom third of Amarista, Maben, and Erlin. They'll face Phillies right-hander Kyle Kendrick. Kendrick 9 wins, an earned run average of 4.72. Well, to a certain extent, he solved the first inning. At least it seems that way. He's allowed 202 hits, 187 innings, and yes, with 2 starts remaining, he does have a chance for 200 innings for the first time in his big league career.
I'd really like to see Kyle finish strong here, not only tonight, but in his final start. But we'll focus on tonight's start. And, he has pretty good numbers against the Padres, 4-1. 3.86 against the Padres in his career. 4-pitch pitcher, fastball, curveball, cutter, changeup, and for Kyle to be successful tonight is using all of those 4 pitches. with some really good angle, downward angle towards home plate.
Well, here's Spangenberg to start things off, and he takes outside. 1 ball and no strikes. Spangenberg 2 for 5 in the series with an RBI and a run scored. Spangenberg, Clark Summit native. Went to Virginia Military Academy, lasted there for a year, then went to a junior college with the anticipation he would get drafted after 1 season at that junior college. 2 balls, no strikes to Spangenberg as Kendrick is ready to go. Now time is called. Will Nieves is doing the catching tonight. Change up a little high, and it's 3-0. That one's on the outside corner. You know, we talk not very often about home plate umpires and strike zones and styles. We've seen Jim Wolf basically since he was a puppy in this game. I mean, he came up at a very young age. I always thought of him, and Jamie, you would know way better than I would. I always thought of him as a fair umpire with somewhat of a liberal, consistent strike zone.
Yeah, I always thought of him as I'm going to say it flat out, a pitcher's umpire.
Okay, that's how I thought. Not because his brother was a pitcher. I just thought that's the way he was. He just threw the same pitch Kendrick did. This time Spangenberg doesn't swing at it. So a leadoff walk here in the first, and that'll bring Venable to the plate. Tonight's game is also available in Spanish. Just use the SAP button on your television or change the language through the menu on your cable box.
How do you do both, English and Spanish?
How do I do both?
Yeah.
It's a lot of practice. I mean, I got to brush up on my Spanish. It's kind of difficult to do both.
I don't see you have an SAP button in here in the booth.
I leave all of that to Angel and Bill.
Oh, okay.
Bill Kulick and Angel Castillo.
Just checking.
They've had a solid year as they continue to ingrain themselves into the Philadelphia community. Not only from a broadcasting standpoint, but they're doing some great work in the community too. 1 ball, no strikes to Venable. Shows bunt, takes a strike, 1-1.
I'm sensing with a leadoff walk here, I'm sure the Padres have talked about facing Kyle Kendrick and being patient. Right there you saw Will Venable with a 1-0 count, kind of semi-squaring around the bunt, taking that pitch all the way.
Got to keep an eye on Spangenberg. He's got good wheels over at first. Now we take a look at our Mazda leaders, and Venable, his 38 home runs. Now that's not a lot of home runs, but his 38 home runs, second to Adrian Gonzalez on the all-time list here at Petco. Foul ball down the right field line, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Oh, they've got him picked. Nice play by Ruff. Throws off balance, and Spangenberg is retired at second. You can't underestimate how good a play that was by Darren Ruff on 2 fronts. Not only the catch, but also the throw.
He caught that ball on the run. He had to move, and then on the run, making a good throw to Freddie Galvis at second base, waiting for the throw and waiting at the bag. And I think Spangenberg right there was going on first movement, but may have startled Kyle.
Well, there you go. Another good play. Good play also by Kendrick. 3-1 on the putout. 2 outs. Everybody always wonders about Darren Ruff's defense in left field. I personally think that he's fine in left field, but at first base, I think he's an excellent defensive first baseman. Now, he may not have the range of some first baseman, but anything that's in his area, he's going to get to.
I think a lot of times as an infielder, if you're a good infielder, you expect the ball to be hit to you, and then knowing what to do with it once it is hit to you. got that. It was a big hop. The first hop was a big hop, and then he actually caught the ball in a short hop. If you look there, he was in good position to catch that ball in the short hop.
Well, 2 men down, and here's Jed Jerko. He's 2 for 6 in the series. Curveball, that's in for a strike. Jerko hitting .211 on the year. He's been better lately for the Padres. 1 ball, 1 strike to him. On the Toyota Major League scoreboard, things are not getting any better for the Oakland A's. They lose tonight 7-2. 3-8 in their last 11 games, but their struggles go back even farther than that. Up high, 3-1. They'll have 3 left-handers facing the Phillies this weekend. They are in jeopardy of even falling out of the wild card race. I mean, they're still there, obviously, but they better get their ship right. There's ball 4, so second walk of the inning by Kendrick.
Feeling for it a little bit right here.
Yeah.
I watched his last couple pitches and his finish. Looks like he's kind of coming across. His momentum's kind of pulling him a little bit towards first base instead of allowing his momentum to take him towards home plate. He's thrown a lot of flat pitches thus far tonight. And not down in the zone where he's been very, very effective.
Well, here's Grandal, 13 home runs, 38 runs batted in. He's catching tonight, played first base earlier in the series. 1 ball and no strikes. I don't know how you fix it, but there's probably going to be at some point in this offseason, wherever Kyle Kendrick winds up, whether it's back with the Phillies or somewhere else, where he's going to have to do a whole reboot on the first inning. That ball's hit to right center field. Menica, or Jerko I should say, held up for a moment and then went on to third. So first and third with 2 men down. And the pickoff is looming large right now as Seth Smith's coming to the plate. Smith 265, 12 home runs. He's been the Padres' best hitter overall. They signed him to a contract extension. He played game 1 of this series, and we mentioned how he tweaked a hamstring going back on 2 balls, one to right center field, the other one to the left field corner. But well enough to play here tonight, and he takes on the inside corner. It's 0-1.
Well, he's 8 for 17 against Kyle Kendrick with 3 doubles. Surprisingly, no RBIs or home runs.
His numbers are very good against the Phillies as a whole. He's hitting over 300 against them. That's mostly when he was with the Rockies. And Kendrick now is ahead 0-2.
I always thought of Seth Smith as a very good hitter. And not because I struggled with him, but just watching him hit, watching his approach. And for whatever reason, he fell out of favor in Colorado, and looks like he's found a home here in San Diego.
Yeah, I really thought he was going to stick with the A's. He was there 2012, 2013. Inside. Thought he was a perfect player for the A's. Play the outfield, DH if they need him to. But back to the National League, where he's here with the Padres, and he's got a chance to give them an early lead. Runners on first and third here in the bottom of the first. And the 1-2 pitch coming to Smith. And a called strike 3, a backdoor. Well, that was a sinker more than anything else. I thought maybe a backdoor cutter, but it was a sinker. First strikeout for Kendrick. He leaves 2. We'll go to the second in a scoreless ball game. Regular season against the Phillies at Citizens Bank Park on Friday, September 26th through Sunday the 28th. 2 night games and a day game. The Goya Latino Family Celebration that's Saturday night. I want to ask you to go to the website and check out information about bringing some food to the ballpark to help fill abundance that night. Then Sunday, Fan Appreciation Day. Tickets can be purchased anytime by going to Phillies.com. Now, Jamie, you'll be this weekend in Oakland. And then the first 2 games of that series against the Braves, right?
Yes. Yes.
The schedule's winding down for Jamie Moyer.
Yes, it is.
Matt will meet us in Miami. And then Matt will be with us Friday, Saturday, and then he'll be with us on Sunday with Schmidt. As Franco fouls it back, it's 0-1. Franco hitting .200, no homers, 5 RBIs. Philly fans are going to like this kid for a couple of reasons. Same reasons why we like Cody Ashe. Great personality, really an outgoing kid, loves to talk the game. He could be one of the nicest kids that you'll ever meet. And he's courteous. I told you about the time when Murph interviewed him his first day. Murph, what did he do? He thanked you and everybody else that day when he was doing the interview with you guys?
Yes, before we started the interview and after we were done the interview.
Very courteous, yeah. We were walking into the hallway today, and I said, hey, those were really good plays last night, and his eyes lit up. I said, those were tough plays. As he takes low, takes on the corner. Strike 3 call. See, liberal umpire, pitcher's umpire. There's one out here in the second. And he said those were very tough plays. He said the pop-up was tougher because the stands, he didn't realize the stands were as close as they were when he made the catch.
Very nice play. Stayed focused on the ball. I think he could feel the stands. Fortunately, he had a couple steps there before he got to the stands.
Great reaction from those Phillies fans that were down there, like, ooh. Well, he was just struck out on a tough pitch. So 1 away here in the second. Dominic Brown's the batter. Home runs, 60 runs batted in. 2 balls and 1 strike. Chopper over to first base, and Medico will take it to the bag. 2 outs here in the second. So Will Nieves will bat as Sandberg continues the rotation of giving each catcher a day. He said there may be occasions where a catcher will catch back-to-back games. But he said Ruiz, as the season winds down, they are going to pull back the innings for Carlos. We mentioned he was a little banged up the other night. They'll give Nieves a chance to catch, Cameron Rupp a chance to catch. Will did confirm that the other night he was stung by a bee. Twice. Off the outside corner, 2-0.
The same bee?
The same stinger. Well, I guess he wasn't stung the second time, but the stinger was still in the towel on the dugout bench, and he grabbed it, and it got him in almost the same spot. I told him he needs to clean up after himself a little bit better. But he said the bee was in the mask when he put the mask down on his face. He didn't mean to, but he grabbed the bee, and that's when he got stung. One's pulled foul down the left field line. Well, here we go. Oh, right there. See the bee coming flying out. Bother him for the rest of the game. balls, 2 strikes now to Nieves. The time is called. That one out toward left center field. Running after it is Smith. And in the alley, he makes the catch, and the side is retired. Phillies go down 1-2-3 in their half of the second. So we've played 1.5 here in San Diego, the final game of this 4-game series. Kyle Kendricks allowed 1 hit. Irwin's allowed 1 hit. And Eagles insider Jeff Mosher about the Eagles' upcoming game against the Redskins in the Phillies series with the Padres, and also the look ahead to the series against the A's. Watch Phillies Sports Talk presented by Comcast Business tomorrow at 5 on Comcast Sportsnet. We'll go to the bottom of the second. Last night, Cole Hamels continued to watch his ERA diminish. He's got a couple more starts to go, but he's in line to finish with, for him, his best earned run average of his career. 7 innings, 1 run, 7 hits, 9 strikeouts. And he was excellent last night against these Padres. This is one of the only guys he couldn't solve was Medica, who had 2 hits against him. Curveball outside. It's 1 ball and no strikes to Medica.
Their first 4 hits last night were pretty much back through the middle between the second base and shortstop. And tonight their first hit was pretty much the same way.
Popped him up. And Darren Ruff over near first base. He creeps into foul territory, and there's 1 out. Here's Alexi Amarista, who was 4 for 11 in this series. Overall hitting .242 with 4 home runs. There's a strike, and it's 0-1. One ball, 1 strike. Jamie, you have any theories on what Kyle can do in the offseason to kind of reboot the first inning issues? You think it's just starting fresh?
Yeah, if this was throughout his career, I'd say yeah, it's probably he needs a bigger reboot. And this was things can happen during the course of seasons. I think during your career. Maybe changing his mindset a little bit. I know for a couple starts he started the game off with a curveball. Obviously that was a thought of his to try to kickstart himself during the game. But it's, for me, it all really just comes down to execution of pitches. I mean, look at AJ. He's had a span of games where he struggled early in the game. So, maybe it's changing your routine, experimenting with that. That would be the first thing I would suggest. But you don't wait to the season to start that. You use spring training as your barometer for that.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Amarista. In the air to right field. That's well hit. Bird going back toward the track to the wall, and he jumps, and it is gone. The Padres take a 1-0 lead. 25th home run allowed by Kendrick this year. And the little guys up 2 balls out of the ballpark in this series.
Both off the top of the wall.
Yeah.
Well, we got that out of the way.
Yeah, they call him the Super Ninja here in San Diego.
That ball, he's got a little happy zone down and in.
It's almost the same spot.
Yeah. It almost looked like he opened up, and that with him opening up, that ball might have been in if he didn't open up. But with him opening up, it allows it to be now in the middle of the plate, where he creates the middle of his plate. Got the good part of the bat on it. Drove it out of the ballpark.
No balls and 1 strike to Cameron Maybin. Maybin hitting .242. Curveball pulled foul. We mentioned that he looks like size-wise like Altuve. Now he's not the same player as Altuve. He obviously isn't. Altuve just set. That could be it. You're right. Altuve just set the hit record for the Astros. But Altuve uses a big bat. A bigger bat than you would think for somebody his size. Amarista the same way. I mean, it's a longer bat. And they say he is strong. No balls, 2 strikes to Maybin. Back toward the box. Flag down by Kendrick. And there are 2 outs. This is your time now to tweet your photo using hashtag PhillyFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game broadcast. It's brought to you by AT&T. Inside corner to Erlin. 0-1. 3 hits and 30 at bats for his career. Chopper to Galvis. He'll take it on the second hop. So Amarista has given the Padres the lead for the second time in this series. He got a low pitch. He golfed it again. Exactly what he did to A.J. Burnett earlier. It's 1-0 Padres as we go to the 3rd. Log on to Phillies.com. Go to the fan section for all the information. And please submit your answer on the subject line. The question is, which pitcher threw the first no-hitter at Petco Park? The answer will be revealed a little later on. Now A.J. Burnett threw his no-hitter that we talked about the other day at Qualcomm. So the first one here at Petco. It happened recently. Not this year, but recently. Those folks have been here for all 4 games of this series. They've watched the Phils win 1 of the first 3. Now hoping to finish up this series with a victory and a 2-game or a 4-game split. That gentleman's just reviewing his photo gallery from all the pictures he took on his different stops as a tourist. Here's Andres Blanco, and it's 0-1. Blanco getting a chance to start here tonight, hitting .293 with a home run and 3 runs batted in. Blanco fouls that one. It's no balls and 2 strikes. Toward the middle, charging is Amarista. Throwing on the run, makes the play. And there's 1 out. The most popular way to follow the September pennant races is with MLB.com At Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. Enjoy live look-ins, replay reviews, scores, live radio broadcasts, the MLB.TV Game of the Day, and more. Get At Bat for your smartphone or tablet on the App Store or visit MLB.com. Here's Kyle Kendrick. Speaking of the pennant races, I don't know if you watched any of the highlights of what was going on in Anaheim last night as the A's were losing to the Rangers. Samardzija pitched great, gave the bullpen a 1-0 lead in the 8th, and they couldn't hold on. There's a base hit to right field, or a line drive to right field. The throw to first base is not in time. Well, Venable had the right thing on his mind. A single for Kendrick. And that's the second hit for the Phils.
You could tell as soon as the ball was hit, that's where he was coming.
And I think Kyle was running from the get-go. I don't think it was he started slow and then picked it up. I think he was moving. They're going to play in front of him with Revere coming up. Ben grounded out his first time up. His average, Murph, is still at .306. And there's some other particulars that Ryan Sandberg has enjoyed watching from Ben Revere so far this season.
Yeah, Tom, you mentioned that Ryan Sandberg talked at length today about Ryan Howard. Well, he also talked at length about Ben Revere. He was asked a question. He said, this time last year, when Ryan had taken over, they asked whether or not he thought Ben Revere could play every day, be your everyday center fielder. And at that point last season, Ryan Sandberg hedged on that answer and didn't say it. Well, asked the same question today. He said, yeah, absolutely. He's come that far in a year that he believes he can play every day. But that said, he'd like to see some tweaks in Ben's game. He thinks first and foremost he can hit for a little bit more power, not so much home runs, but into the gap kind of power, doubles and triples. He said that if he just changes his approach a little bit with his speed, he should be hitting 35 to 40 more doubles a year. He'd like to see that. And also being more aggressive on the base pass. Yeah, he has 46 steals, but he'd like to see him steal third base a little bit more, maybe 15 or 20 more times at third base. And if he's able to work on those couple of things and, continue to get better defensively, he thinks Ben could be a pretty good center fielder for a long time to come.
And I asked him about the stolen bases because he's on his way to 50 stolen bases. And I said, psychologically, what do you think that will do? Will that be an incentive for him to be more aggressive on the base paths because he's already reached 50 stolen bases one time? He felt yes, as Medica tries to turn the double play, but Revere's able to beat that out. 3-6 on the put out at second base, so fielder's choice.
Yeah, and Tom, last night when we talked to Ben after the game, I asked him that question, if 50 stolen bases was on his mind, and he didn't even hesitate. He said, absolutely, I want to get to 50 stolen bases. It's one of those plateaus for those speedy guys that they try and hit, and it's been a long time since a Philly has been able to get to that point. So, yeah, that's something that he is trying to do. It's on first base right now. Maybe we'll see him run here. But it's those kinds of things that Ryne Sandberg believes if he continues to work on that, he can become a better player.
Well, and I think this is a good time to run with Galvis up and 2 outs. Now you got Erlin on the mound, and Erlin, a lefty, he's got to figure out that move. But would you agree with that, Jamie? This is a good time for him to run?
I think so. Erlin, I'm sure he does have a slide step right there. He picked his leg up. It might be a good time right here. 0-1. 1-0. You think he might get a breaking ball here, something off speed, throws him a fastball.
Well, he doesn't get a chance to do it. That'll be a 4-3 put out. No runs, 1 hit, 1 man left for the Phillies. 2.5 in the books here in San Diego. Go to the bottom of the third with the Padres up 1-0. Or iced coffee is just $1. McDonald's, I'm loving it. By Thomas Jefferson University Hospitals. Call 1-800-JEFF now for an appointment. And by Delaware Valley Honda. Visit your local Delaware Valley Honda dealer or shophonda.com. Bottom of the third, it's 1-0 Padres. Kyle Kendrick will face the top of the order for San Diego. Started talking last inning about what was going on in Anaheim last night. The Angels game was over. They had won, and they knew if the A's had lost, they would have clinched the West. First time in a few years that they had picked up the American League West title. The amount of fans that stuck around in Anaheim to watch the game on the big board was, I thought, remarkable. And the scene was incredible to watch, and it makes you long for postseason baseball. It really does. Because I can only imagine what it was like for a player, Jamie, to clinch, particularly at home.
Oh, yeah. Nothing better. Nothing better. And you know what? For me, you never get used to winning.
Yeah.
There's been an expectation to win in Anaheim for the last couple of years, and it just hasn't happened.
Franco zips one over to first. Spangenberg's retired, and there's one out. Well, it's the culmination, at least from regular season standpoint, of a long year. But I just thought the interaction with the players, and you guys did this too, particularly when you won the World Championship, the interaction with the players and the fans last night, I mean, it's what you would hope baseball is like everywhere you go.
No, you're trying to share it with the fans.
That's exactly what it was.
You're showing your appreciation for their support.
Venable takes a strike. It's 0-1.
That's a chance to celebrate and get silly.
Well, there was definitely those opportunities. You know, and Mike Scioscia, who's obviously been there for a long time, some people thought he was going to get fired a year ago or 2 years ago because they were underachieving. You could see it in his face too, how appreciative he was of the opportunity and the moment. And that's a guy that's won a lot as a player and also as a manager too.
You say winning never gets old.
0-2 just misses inside. 1-2 to Venable.
You know, and they have some younger players on that team that haven't experienced that. So that's the other side of it too. You want to bring that winning environment to as many of your players as you can. You know, usually a playoff team doesn't call up, or a playoff contender doesn't call up as many guys from the minor leagues as, say, a team that's kind of out of it. So the guys that are up there, you know, it's a great feel. They even feel a part of it, even though they haven't been there all year.
Over to shortstop. Galvis is up with it. There are 2 quick outs here in the third. Well, speaking of the postseason, nonstop action, heart-pounding excitement, historic performances. Don't miss it. The 2014 postseason, beginning September 30th. Coverage on Fox and TBS, among other places. The Baseball Network. Here's Jed Jerko, who walked his first time up. Curveball, check swing. You know, the Angels are one of those teams that I think can do some damage, and now they're setting up their rotation for the postseason. The team that I actually would like to see in the postseason is the team the Phillies are going to face this weekend, and I don't know if they're going to get there or not. The Oakland A's, just because of that pitching that they have and what that could do. The liner out toward left. Dominic Brown, diving attempt. Did he make the catch? He did. And they better check on him because he rolled that wrist. He did that the other day, and it was the wind that was knocked out of him. This time, well, I think the wrist is okay. I think it's the wind, and I think it might be that shoulder again. Tremendous play by Dominic Brown. I think it is the shoulder. He tweaked that shoulder the other day when he dove for a ball the other way. This time he's able to come up with it and wrap up the third. Player specializing in all your cleaning needs. WB Mason also provides a full selection of 3M safety products that can't be struck out. Move on. WB Mason. We played 3. We go to the top of the 4th. It'll be Marlon Byrd, Darren Ruff, Maikel Franco. Dominic Brown made a wonderful diving play to end the bottom of the 3rd. Right there, he rolled the wrist, but it was more the shoulder that he was kind of holding on to.
Yeah, I think when you watch his wrist kind of hit the ground, it kind of jars his shoulder. Almost like it's like the shoulder joint.
In the dugout, he's walking unattended, so I guess he's okay. Marlon Byrd takes a curveball high. It's 1-0. Marlon hitting .264. He lined out to 3rd his first time up. 0 for 1. thrown him just a buffet of curveballs in the series. Right-handers, left-handers, they just keep throwing soft stuff to him.
That slow one is hard for Marlin to stay back on, especially the slow one with depth.
There it is again. He waited on it, but he lines out to short.
Even though that was up, he still hit it off the end of the bat. That's why he didn't get a whole lot on it. It just turned out to be a little humpback liner to shortstop, Alexi Amarista. You just, when you see that ball coming in, you see that hump in it, you just don't know where it's going to end.
He's thrown a lot of them in this inning. There's another one to Darren Ruff. Ruff struck out swinging his first time up. Inside, 2 balls and no strikes. There's a line drive down the left field line. That one's going to the corner. Well, Ruff this time was able to get after that pitch. And he's in scoring position with 1 man down.
Well, it's nice to see a Phillies hitter get into a hitter's count and then get the fastball that he's looking for, and then on top of it all, hit it hard. I mean, it almost looked like he was looking for that ball in that area of the plate, and the location was off. We were looking for that ball away. Grandal was looking for that ball away. Ball came back across the plate. Darren Ruff just smothered that.
Well, that's his 5th double, and here's Franco, who struck out his last time up. 2 balls and 1 strike. Michael was working in the cage today with John Miserock and Steve Henderson. Here's Hendu. In the dirt. 1 ball, 1 strike. He can't find it. Ruff's going to third. The throw not in time. Just heads up base running. He waited for a moment, realized that he could get a step up on Grandal. Scored a wild pitch.
Yeah, I think when Darren saw that ball trickle behind Grandal, he knew he could get to third base pretty easily.
In the dirt again, 2-1. The season's over with. Franco is going to play winter ball. In fact, the Phillies will have a handful of guys who will play winter ball. Of course, a lot of the Latin players will play in their native countries or for their hometowns, if only for a short period of time. Swing and a miss. Second time he's been struck out. 3rd strikeout for Erlin. That's what Ryan Sandberg talked about the other day, about him just shortening up a little bit more on those particular swings.
Yeah, they just kept feeding him changeups. Actually, the first 2 were kind of down and away, and then they brought him back on the plate, and he still was ahead of him. This tells me he's reading fastball to his hand.
Here's a ground ball through the hole on the left side. That'll bring home Darren Ruff. An RBI single for Dominic Brown. It's a 1-1 ball game. 61st RBI of the season for Brown.
It's a pretty good pitch right there. Dominic just looked almost like looking out over the plate, trying to hit the ball back through the middle, hit the ball the other way, hit it hard in the 5-hole. Scores easily.
Tony Gwynn Sr. would have been proud of that one right there. Here's Will Nieves, who flied to left his first time up. Off the mound, snagged by Jerko. That's a heck of a play. He was shaded that way. It turns out to be a fielder's choice. 4-6 on the putout. Phillies do get a run. On 2 hits, they leave 1. We'll go to the bottom of the 4th. Plus Ford stores. Go further. Buy the Pennsylvania Lottery. Benefits older Pennsylvanians every day. And by AT&T, mobilizing your worlds. Along with J.B. Moyer and Greg Murphy, I'm Tom McCarthy from San Diego, where we're tied at 1 as we go to the bottom of the 4th. Yasmani Grandal will lead it off. It'll be Grandal, Seth Smith, and Tommy Medica. 4, 5, and 6 for the Padres. Their run came on a home run by Alexi Amarista. Phillies run came on a base hit by Dominic Brown. So now Grandal, who singled his first time up. Change up, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike toward the outside part of the plate.
Changeup's got a lot of movement right now. Almost looks like a Bugs Bunny changeup. More so than normal.
You think it's slower than normal too, or is it just the way it's coming down and away?
Just the movement on it. It's real big. Maybe it's camera angle. I don't know.
Well, that's the pitch right there, which will be helpful. That one, the cutter or the 4-seamer, will certainly help that changeup. Just off the outside corner, 3-2.
Get that pitch to Seth Smith to end the first inning. But when you get those pitches, it makes your night enjoyable.
They have gotten away with one right there. It was fouled back by Grandal. There's ball 4, so a walk, and the 3rd of the game issued by Kendrick. And that'll bring Seth Smith to the plate. Time now for our Geico quote of the day. This one on Darren Ruff and his goals for winter ball. Hopefully get some at-bats against right-handed pitching. Keep working on defense. Keep refining my approach at the plate. The only way I know how to get better is to keep playing. It's a pretty good quote. The right-handed pitching part of it, I think it's just that he's heard that from so many fronts that he can't hit right-handed pitching. I don't know if he wants to believe it. You know what I mean? Right. I think he's trying to convince himself, well, that's wrong. There's a line into right field off the bat of Seth Smith. So the Padres have first and second with nobody out. And that'll bring Tommy Medica to the plate. Murph, I know you got a chance to talk to him today. I mean, did he touch on that at all about the right-handed pitching part of it?
Well, you know, he's talked about that before, Tom, and he and I were talking a little bit about what he was hoping to accomplish in winter ball as you know, this season comes to an end. You know, he went to the organization and said, I need more at bats. You remember he started the season off on the disabled list with the oblique injury and then spent some time down in AAA. Then when he was set back down for what really was just kind of clearing roster space for a little bit while before the All-Star break, he then got hurt, missed a couple of weeks because of that injury. So he believes he just hasn't seen enough pitches this year, and he wants to continue to work on that swing. But, you know, you talk about the righties and the lefties. He hasn't had a whole lot of opportunity against right-handers, but last year he did and fared very well against them, and he remembers that, and he wants to get back to that. He has struggled against the right-handers this year. So I think it's great. Now, you know, Jamie could speak to this certainly better than you and I, Tom, but when a player goes to the organization and says, look, I want to work in the offseason, get some more at-bats to get better so that I can hit the ground running at spring training next year, that's certainly a good sign out of any of your play.
Yeah, I think it's always good to assess yourself, you know, be able to personally assess yourself, but also ask your coaches and management, you know, what do you think, where are my strengths, where are my weaknesses, what do I need to work on? And obviously, you know, Darren feels like you know, he needs to work on facing right-handed hitters and just more repetitions at a higher level. And what a great place to do that in winter ball.
You know, guys, a few days ago, Ryan Sandberg was asked whether he thought that Darren Ruff was destined to be that platoon kind of player, a guy that played mostly against left-handers, and he said he's not ready to say that. He wasn't ready to put a label on him, a platoon label on him yet. So his manager, at least here in the big leagues, isn't ready to say that. So that's certainly a good sign as well.
Yeah, I think each time he's been out there for a long period of time, I think he's performed quite well. Now, whether he can do it for 150 games, I don't know. There are probably people that, you know, watch him long enough than we do. But I think he's done well, whether it be in left field or at first base. And, you know, it's tough to move Ryan Howard off that spot, obviously. But you would think they'd be able to find some at-bats for him. And I think it's good that he's getting a chance to go to winter ball and maybe refine his swing a little bit, tighten it up. There's another base hit. That'll load up the bases to start this fourth inning.
Well, we're going through the second time around. The Padres are kind of doing what the Phillies did last night when they scored a couple of runs. But tonight it started with a leadoff walk and then two back-to-back singles to load the bases.
And now you got Amarista, who homered his last time up. See how the Phillies set up this infield. You figure the middle of the infield they're going to set up to turn two, and that's what they're going to do. And now they have Ruff back at first and Franco in at third. It's a 1-1 game, each team with 4 hits. We're in the bottom of the fourth inning. Pitches inside, 1 ball and no strikes. This is what he did back in the second inning.
There's a ball down and in. I just think that's his happy zone right there. Short arms, not a tall guy, you know, so his strike zone's a little bit smaller. He doesn't have as much area to cover as somebody that's 6'4", 6'5".
Toward left field, Dominic Brown will head back. It looks like he's under it. He'll make the catch. Tanking from third is Grandal, going to third and being thrown out. Wow. Is Seth Smith. The Padres take the lead. Well, that's probably not the smartest thing to do if you're Seth Smith. But that was a great throw by Dominic Brown.
It sure was. On the run. Running kind of away from the play, running to his right. And makes a very good throw.
Outfield assist number 4 for Brown.
Right on the money.
I guess he thought they it took a perfect throw. I still don't think I would have taken a chance. But it's a good break for the Phils. They do trail it, but there are 2 outs. And the pitch to Maven. Maven takes outside. It's 1 ball and no strikes. Maven hit one back to Kendrick. His first time up. He's 0 for 1. Runner goes. Kendrick doesn't realize it. It'll be a stolen base for Medica. Medica's 5th stolen base of the year.
Kyle's pitching very carefully here, but he's finding himself behind in the count, throwing more pitches than he really needs to be.
Three balls, 1 strike. Navy's tried to sell that one a little bit, pulled it up. Was down though, and it's now 3-1 to Cameron Maven. And now they're going to intentionally walk him to face the pitcher. It's not a bad idea. You got Erlin coming up. You don't want to allow that extra run across the plate. Although if you can read the facial expressions of Larry Bowa, he would have liked for him to get him out a little earlier in that at bat. Erlin fouls it away. It's 0-1. Toward the middle, and Kendrick is able to get it and throw it over to first. 1-3 on the put out. A run does score. A base running mistake helps the Phils. We'll go to the 5th with the Padres on top, 2-1. fans trivia quiz answer. All right, Jamie, which pitcher threw the first no-hitter at Petco Park?
I'm going to go with Timmy Lincecum.
Tim Lincecum is correct. Well, he's thrown 2 no-hitters against the Padres, one here and one in San Francisco. That was in July of last year. Log back on to Phillies.com to find out if you're the winner of a Phillies prize pack. Giants are already in town. In fact, they'll begin a series tomorrow against the San Diego Padres. Hunter Pence was roaming the lobby today in the hotel. They stay in the same hotel the Phillies stay in. They arrived last night, and the Giants are 2 games out in the National League West. 2 games behind the Dodgers. Giants have won 2 straight. And on the wild card, the Giants have 84 wins. So it's the Giants and the Pirates right now who have the lead in the wild card. Andres Blanco takes a strike. It's 0-1. Tim Lincecum may have thrown 2 no-hitters, including one this year, but there were stories in the San Francisco papers the last couple of days as to whether he'll even make the postseason roster for the Giants. Now, I would think, not that we know Bruce Bochy all that well, but watching the past success that Lincecum's had, even out of the bullpen in the postseason against the Phillies, but just in general, I would think he's going to be on the postseason roster in one way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I would think so too, unless there's an injury that that they don't think he's going to be durable enough in whatever position they put him in.
Yeah, that's a good point. Here's Kyle Kendrick with 1 out. Kendrick singled his first time up. He singled to right. He's already in the box ready to go, and you just saw Blanco run past the home plate area. Blanco's like, hey man, we wait for you when you make it out. Oh, and 1 to Kyle, a big swing and a miss. Verlin some credit here tonight too. I mean, he hasn't made many starts, particularly since the month of May. In fact, that was the last time he made a start. He's at 63 pitches. He's allowed 4 hits. Eventually, we weren't sure how long he would go. I don't think they really care about that. If they can get him through 5 or 6, that's a great thing. But Bud Black's got a whole boatload of pitchers like everybody else does in their bullpen. If you're 30 years old or older, those 2 youngsters right there are not included in this. How about Phillies Fantasy Camp? It's from January 21st to the 25th in Clearwater, Florida. Now, the package includes hotel accommodations and instruction from guys like the Bull, John Kruk, Mike Lieberthal, Mickey Morandini, Bob Boone, or the Commissioner Larry Anderson. A fantasy game versus the legends at Bright House Field. Tickets can be purchased or information can be gotten by calling 610-520-3400.
It would be interesting to see the commissioner in action at fantasy camp.
Well, just so everybody knows, his favorite thing to do during fantasy camp, and he's made this quite public, is Kangaroo Court. There's a line drive to left center field, a base hit for Revere. And they've been to hold him to a single. Now, Kangaroo Court, I don't think they do it that much anymore, right, Jamie?
Yeah, I've been on a couple teams that have done it, not many, but it is a lot of fun. It's time consuming, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, Kangaroo Court is basically the way it sounds. It's when there's a judge, and in this case Larry Anderson's the judge in fantasy.
Of course he is.
Yep. And he throws out the penalties for a fantasy player doing something that's either funny, wrong, or whatever.
Okay, so the players can't also create the infractions?
Oh yeah, they can too. But
Okay.
he's the leader of the
Okay.
group that lays out the infractions. No balls and 1 strike. I don't know if they're similar to a baseball season, a major league season, but I'm sure the infractions are.
I'll give you an example. One for regular season. Say a minor league player gets called up.
Yep.
He gets fined for being late for the season. Guys would get. I had a lot of teammates wear cowboy boots. They get caught on travel day not wearing socks.
Yeah.
With their boots, they get fined for that.
Yeah. So it's dress code violations.
That can be. Yes.
There's a lot of
and
those.
So some of it's real legitimate policing, but a lot of it's fun.
Yeah, there was probably a lot of those at fantasy camp, like maybe wearing white socks and sandals or something like that. Something that Larry doesn't think is hip enough.
You really can't get on somebody's personal play, like an error, things like that. That gets a little personal sometimes with players. Another one, we had actually rules. They were automatic fines. When I was in Seattle, one particular year, 0-2 walks. That's an automatic fine. Leadoff walk was a 2-out walk. They were all automatic. You couldn't fight those. But it's fun. It can create a lot of team camaraderie. Fraternization, we had one. You had 2 minutes. You were allowed 2 minutes to fraternize with a player. Hey, how you doing? That kind of thing. And guys would actually go on the clock as it happened. And then you needed a witness. As long as you had a witness, then you could provide the case. And we kept a shoebox with all the infractions were in, and then they were read on court day. So, and I had some teammates that would wear the wig.
Right, Larry wears the wig. Larry wears the wig.
Had a gavel.
He has a gavel.
And a gown. Oh, guys would take it to the hilt. A lot of fun.
Pitches outside to Galvis. It's 1-2. We'll see. That's what you have to look forward to if you go to Phillies fantasy camp. And if I were you, I would do something that would cause an infraction so Larry can put you on the spot.
Are they monetary? Do they collect money? Monetary fines?
I don't know. That's a good question. I would think that it's probably not to the level of a Major League Baseball player's fine.
Well, you know what? The fines in $1, $2.
Then yes, I
but
would
then
say yes.
If they're repetitive,
right?
Then sometimes it can double. It's really interesting how the court would rule. A lot of times the younger guys could never win, but they would always be, hey, the rest of the group would say, fight it, fight it, fight it. You can win.
I love the one where the minor league player getting called up is fined for being late for the season.
Yeah. I always enjoyed that one too. It's your choice. If you play better or if there wasn't an injury.
Yeah, if it's your choice. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Galvis. Galvis is 1 for 2. He doubled his first time up. He grounded out his last time. Phillies down 2-1 here in the top of the 5th inning. Over to third, and it's backhanded by Spangenberg. Galvis is retired, so are the Phils. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left. Middle of the 5th, it's the Padres 2, Phillies 1. Citizenship brought to you by Citizens Bank. The Philadelphia region has more than 100 colleges and universities. If you want to be a good citizen, an education is a great first step. Good banking is simple, clear, and personal, and that's helping you bank better. Citizens Bank, good banking is good citizenship. Kyle Kendrick will go back to work as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. It's the top of the order. Corey Spangenberg will lead things off for the Padres. Spangenberg is 0 for 1. He walked his first time up. Padres with 2 runs on 4 hits. The Phillies with 1 run on 5 hits. And there's a foul ball, and it's 0-1. Up high, 1 ball, 1 strike. Ground ball right side, and Andres Blanco. Boy, Spangenberg does run well. I mean, he is moving. Coming up after the game, a full recap, plus Ricky Vitalico gives his analysis on tonight's series finale between the Phillies and the Padres. Only on Cure Auto Insurance presents Phillies Postgame Live. Here's Will Venable. Venable 0 for 2. He's grounded out twice. Franco in on the grass at third. Now he takes a half step back. Basically even with the bag. Swing and a miss. It's 0-1. The Padres thought that Will last year had arrived and kind of established himself. He had such a good year. 0-2. I mentioned so much so that they put him on the cover of their media guide. Now 31 years old. Hit 268 last year, 22 home runs, 53 runs batted in. He also stole 22 bases. Dad was a very good major league player for a long time. The 1-2 pitch to Venable.
You see the first 2 pitches are very good changeups down and away, and he tries to throw that off the body sinker, so it's down, down, and then up, changing the hitter's eye level. See what he does here.
Outside, he tried to change up, but it just faded away. And a foul ball at the plate. Will's dad, Max, played for 12 years in the big leagues. For the Giants, the Reds, and the California Angels. Lifetime .241 hitter. He played all 3 outfield positions during his major league career. Broke his bat, ground ball, foul. That goes out to shallow right field. It remains 2-2. He could be the winner of the bat toss for the year. I mean, that bat went flying out there.
That's a dangerous object flying too, with sharp edge on it like that.
And a called strike 3. Really outsmarted him. Venable down looking on strikes. 2 outs. And here comes Jed Jerko.
You see a really good backdoor cutter right here. Right to the glove of Darren Ruff. Never had to move his glove, and Jim Wolf called third strike.
Here's to Budweiser. Here's to baseball. 1 ball and no strikes.
You know, and it's kind of you watch that pitch and you see it executed so well, and then you watch that first pitch right there, and the execution is so poor.
Yeah.
And that's the consistency, you know, that Kyle needs to find in some way, shape, or form. You know, I'm not beating him up for it. It's just what you see is what you get. And there's for some reason, I don't know if it's a mechanical thing or if it's a mental thing, but he's not able to repeat his mechanics. And, you know, is it the thinking that's going into it, or is it the live action? And I don't know.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, you've been around him longer than most people. I know you've had a lot of conversations with him. It does seem this year, and I think he knows this too, he doesn't look this year as free and easy as he's been in past years.
And I believe that he's healthy. I don't think that there's a health concern or a health issue.
Off the mound in the center field, Jerko has a base hit. 2-out single, and that'll bring Grandal to the plate. So in a Major League scoreboard, the Red Sox and the Pirates, such an odd matchup for this time of the year. But with interleague play, figure an American League team and a National League team will face each other each series, and the Pirates edged the Red Sox 3-2. 49 home wins for the Pittsburgh Pirates. They have 3 games left at home before they hit the road to wrap up the season. Here's Grandal, 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th. Outside, 1 ball, no strikes. Well, the Pirates are fortunate that they have that many wins at home. They're 20 games over 500 at home. And if they could have played even a little bit better on the road, they would have walked away with the Central Division. They're 10 games under 500 on the road, or excuse me, 8 games under 500 on the road. 20 up at home and 8 games under on the road. Outside, ball 4, and that'll put runners on first and second time that he's walked. Yasmani Grandal. The base out to the mound just to chat with him for a moment. And that'll bring Seth Smith to the plate. He's 1 for 2. Singled his last time up, which was in the 4th, and they got him looking his first time to the plate.
And I wonder sometimes too, you know, again, I'm puzzled sometimes watching Kyle, because his stuff is fine, you know, and it's trusting that stuff. But I know I think back to myself when I've struggled, especially when the ball was up in the zone. Sometimes it was mechanical, but my eyes would drift up instead of stay down, say where Darren's glove is. My eyes, I'd be looking at his chest or his face.
Why would that be?
You know what? I don't have an answer to that, but when I would catch myself doing it, I would then take my eyes to the front edge of home plate and only look at that. I'd actually sometimes lower my head so my eyes couldn't see anything above the front of the plate. And all of a sudden, I was able to get the ball down.
No balls, 1 strike to Smith. Pickoff play on. Pretty close.
But then, again, you have to tinker with things and experiment with things to find what's going to work for you.
Five walks tonight. That ties his season high. 82 pitches. This is number 83. Ground ball right side. Because of the shift, it's going to go into right center field, a base hit. A run will score. It'll be an RBI for Seth Smith. Give the Padres credit. The Phillies have had the shift on. This happens often in baseball, but they've had the shift on a couple of hitters, and they've hit it where that shift is not set up. So 3-1, San Diego on top, and Tommy Medica will be the batter. He's 1 for 2. Seth Smith now with 45 runs batted in. Curveball, and that's 0-1. It drops in for a strike on the inside part of the plate. So he's hit by a pitch. It's the 11th batter he's hit this year. And the bases are now loaded for Alexi Amarista. It'll be the second time he's coming up with the bases loaded. McClure doing a little thinking right now. He doesn't want his pitcher to unravel totally in this inning. It's still just a 2-run deficit at this point. Homered his first time up. Got a sacrifice fly his last time up. 2 RBIs tonight. Inside 1-0. They appeal. No swing, says the third base umpire. Just 27 at bats, not plate appearances, but at bats with the bases loaded, and he has 11 hits during that time. 2 balls, no strikes. That one's in there. Not enough of that sometimes. Just challenging the hitters. Man. Now Luis Garcia starts to throw in the bullpen.
Well, when you're not sharp and you're trying to nibble, it doesn't allow for good, consistent results. When you're sharp and you're nibbling, you're usually getting those calls, you're getting early count swings. Well, you're 1 pitch away right here from getting out of it.
Well, the Padres have left 4 so far. They'd love to force them to leave 7.
Stay away from that down and in quadrant.
No curveballs down and in. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and the pitch. Fouled it away. Remains 2-2.
See, so that would he hits those off-speed pitches, it kind of tells me he's got medium, I would call it medium speed, medium bat speed. There's a fastball that's, I won't say it's down and in, but it's down behind that. So for him to hit that pitch, he's got to be cheating for it, if you will. When he hit that home run previously off of Kyle, he opened up, got his hips cleared, and he got the bat to that ball. That one, that particular one there, that last pitch, he did not, was not able to get to it.
Pitches this inning. This has been a long one for Kyle. Toward left again for Dominic Brown. Should be an easy play. He's under it. And Kendrick does leave him loaded, but the Padres get an extra run, all with 2 outs. We played 5. We'll go to the 6th. It'll be Bird, Ruff, and Franco when we return. Getting close to finishing out one of the best individual seasons of his career. After missing almost the whole first month of the season, Cole returned and was determined to make up for lost time. Month by month, Cole got stronger and on the mound stingier with runs as the summer heated up. 28 starts later, his ERA is at 2.47, the lowest mark of his career. Hamels is quietly approaching 200 innings in this impressive season. And it's brought to you by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Oh, it's only right that Cole Hamels gets the Independence Blue Cross Philly of the Week, particularly after last night's outing where he went 7 innings. He struck out 9. Tonight, the Phillies trail at 3-1 as we move to the top of the 6th inning. And it'll be Marlon Bird, Darren Ruff, and Maikel Franco. Padres scored 3 runs on 6 hits. Kyle Kendrick has walked 5 and he's hit 1. Talked during the outset that he's trying to finish the season strong. Tonight hasn't been one of those strong games. Like a lot of other starts, he's shown flashes.
It looks like it's been a little struggle to get through it tonight so far.
You wonder if he's done. Bastardo's starting to throw in the bullpen right now for the Phils. You wonder if they're going to go to the pen in the bottom of the 6th inning. Marlon Bird fouls it back. It's 0-1. Marlon tonight is 0 for 2. He's lined out twice. And Sandberg does have the lineup card out. Padres have some movement going on in their bullpen too. We mentioned that Erlin is not necessarily a starting pitcher this year. That one's floated foul down the left field line, and it's 0-2 to Bird. It's Nick Vincent throwing in the pen. Erlin is one of 2 pitchers who the Padres received in the Mike Adams trade when Adams was traded to the Texas Rangers. There's a foul ball. It remains 0-2. There's Mike. Talked to him today. I said, how you feeling? He said, I'm feeling good. He said, it's just tough to get into a ball game. Tonight may be one of those nights, though, if Kendrick only goes 5. And it does look like he's only going to go 5. Foul tip, and Bird struck out. 4 strikeouts for Erlin. So you want to be a ball girl for the Phils. Well, the Phillies are looking to hire a staff of ball girls who can represent the organization in the community as well as perform duties on the field. You need public relations skills. You need softball experience. You need strong interpersonal skills with an outgoing personality. You need knowledge of the game. Flexible schedule. You must be 18 years of age. Deadline to apply is October 17th. Go to Phillies.com/ballgirls for more information. Darren Ruff is 1 for 2. He has struck out. He's doubled and scored. Popped him up. And that's going to slice back into the crowd. And it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Antonio Bastardo is still throwing in the bullpen for the Phils. I think if the Padres are able to get 6 out of Erlin, they're going to be pretty pleased. I'm a little concerned about Tyson Ross, but they think maybe it's just fatigue more than anything else. There's a liner out toward left field. Seth Smith makes the catch. Now 2 outs here in the 6th. And Mikel Franco is coming up. Pitches by inning for Erlin. Ball and 1 strike to Franco. He has struck out twice, and in fact Erlin has handled him better than anybody else. He's outsmarted him with the pitches. He's thrown it slower and slower. There's a fastball lining to shortstop. A one-hop play by Amaristo. What a play! And then it's dug out by Tommy Medica. Well, that's some defense. That kid has played a very nice series for the Padres, offensively and defensively. This is just quick reactions. Well, that ball was almost by him, but he was able to pick it and then make the throw, and Medica was able to do the same at first. defensive plays of the game. Now, both teams have played some very good defense in this ball game. This is Dominic Brown. This is a heck of a diving play. We thought he may have hurt his wrist or his shoulder. He was a little slow to get up. Then how about the arm on Dominic Brown? He certainly has flashed a strong arm, particularly in the second half of the year. Not a good play by Seth Smith to get thrown out going from second to third on that fly ball. It did produce the run, and this is the one we just saw. Amarista has made several very good defensive plays in this series, and that one was one of the better plays we've seen from the shortstop position. Those are Hyundai defensive plays of the game. So now we go to the 6th inning, and Antonio Bastardo will take over for the Phils, with the Padres on top 3-1. Bastardo, 63rd game, 5-7 with a 4.03 ERA. 77 strikeouts and 16 1/3 innings of work. So he'll pick up for Kyle Kendrick, and there's Amarista. Boy, I know he's only hitting 244 coming into this game tonight, but he has really made some very good plays over at shortstop. Quick hands, quick feet, and a pretty good arm too. So Bastardo's all ready to go. And Cameron Maybin will stroll to the plate. It'll be Maybin, followed by the pitcher's spot. And it looks like Erlin's done after 6. Maybin 0 for 1. He walked his last time up. It was an intentional walk. Swing and a miss. No balls and 1 strike. There's Almonte. He's in the on-deck circle to pinch hit for Robbie Erlin. Outside, 1-1. Balls and 1 strike. Well, the free passes have certainly been an issue tonight. 5 walks for Kendrick, and he also hit 1 batter. Kyle goes 5 innings tonight. He allowed 6 hits and 3 runs. Even though there have been times where he's really struggled this year, the walks are still uncharacteristic for him. That many anyway. And now the 3-1 pitch. Foul ball, and it's 3-2.
Tom, I remember Antonio Bastardo's first major league outing took place right here. Wow, did he have a night?
He was throwing, what, 96 that night? And he was throwing all fastballs. That just seemed to be one pitch after another. Fastball, fastball, fastball.
It was very impressive to watch.
And again, at that point, he was thought of as a starting pitcher. Down the right field line, that's going to be in for a hit. Marlon Byrd will take it off the wall. Maybin will stop at second. So a leadoff double here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Dodge. Visit Dodge.com or your local dealer today. By WB Mason. You can't go wrong when you buy right. By Budweiser. Here's to Budweiser. Here's to baseball. And by Nissan. Get to your local Nissan store for the ride of your life and save big today. Well, not only did Antonio make his major league debut here that night, But as we mentioned, it did seem to be like one fastball after another. And if I recall correctly, I think he worked from the stretch a lot in that ball game. I don't think many of us really knew much about him. So Almonte pinch hits. He's hitting .260 in the National League. He bunts. And that's going to be a foul ball. Smart by Nieves. They wouldn't have thrown Almonte out. So he'll come back. Maybe it'll go to second. Every time the Phillies pitchers retire, the opposition 1-2-3. Comcast will make a contribution to Phillies charities. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. How much English did Antonio speak at that time? Very little, right? When he came up?
Minimal.
Yeah, he's worked awfully hard on becoming versed in the English language.
Nice young man. Very nice young man.
Ooh, that was almost a
balk if they didn't call timeout.
Bud Black saying something from the dugout. And he bunts in the air, foul. It's 0-2. So now Almonte, we'll see if he still has the bunt on. We're not around Bud that much, but I hope he enjoys it a little bit. I mean, he just doesn't look like he enjoys it. It just must be the facial expression. I mean, inside maybe he's jumping up and down.
Well, they haven't won a lot of games, and I'm not
it's
aiming
true.
this at him,
Yeah.
but in his tenure here, they haven't won a lot of baseball games. And that's got to be a little frustrating.
Gets the runner over to third on that ground ball to first. Yeah, as their payroll has diminished, his win-loss record has dropped under 500. He's at 610 wins and 676 losses, but he has been around. This is 8th major league season. Antonio's going to get another baseball. He didn't like that first one. So
And
here's Spangenberg.
They've had some talent here, and some of it's left due to free agency, and some of it they've traded away.
Yeah, they're sort of at a crossroads with a couple players. They have guys that are on the disabled list. They're hoping that Carlos Quentin, I would think, they're able to send him to an American League team because he just hasn't been able to stay healthy and get on the field consistently. Phillies have the infield in with one man down here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Spangenberg takes outside. It's 1 ball and no strikes. You see the infield alignment. Sardo made his major league debut on June 2nd here in San Diego. Tip, it's 2-1. He may have gotten away with a pitch there. That was left up in the zone.
Well, the thing that helps him there is just through 2 sliders, adjusting. Spangenberg trying to adjust to that fastball. Sometimes it takes a pitch or 2. And probably not having seen him before is another issue.
To left, that'll get a run home. An RBI single, and it's now 4-1 in favor of the Padres. 8 RBIs for Spangenberg. And now Will Venable will be coming up. That night where the startup made his major league debut, he went 6 innings. He allowed 4 hits and 1 run. He walked 1. He struck out 5. He followed that up 5 days later with another victory. 5 innings, 7 hits, 2 runs. In fact, 5 straight starts for Bastardo to his big league career. Ball and 1 strike as Venable fouls it back. There almost the way his leg was.
Yeah, you could tell he was gone. His lead shoulder,
you're right,
turned directly towards second base. When he goes home, his front shoulder may close a little bit. See how his front shoulder turned directly at first base? It won't right here when he goes to the plate.
Spangenberg leads off first. Out towards short, that might be 2. Galvis will just take it to the bag and throw all in one motion. He was taking no chances. A double play, a run does score for the Padres, so they extend their lead to 4-1. To the 7th we go, and Dominic Brown will lead things off. Time now for your local Honda dealers game summary as we go to the top of the 7th inning here at Petco. For the Phillies, Kyle Kendrick struggled tonight. 5 walks, 1 hit batter. He leaves on the losing side at this point. Alexi Amarista has a home run tonight. A sac flies, made a heck of a defensive play at shortstop. And give some credit to Robbie Erlin, the starting pitcher for the Padres. Not overpowering at all, but he was able to get his way through 6 innings tonight. Now he'll give way to Nick Vincent. Vincent in his 58th game, his 2nd appearance in this series. And he will face Dominic Brown, Will Nieves, and Andres Blanco. Antonio Bastardo and Bob McClure having a chat in the dugout. There's a high fly ball down the right field line. Venable may have a play on this one, and he reaches over and makes the catch. 1 pitch, 1 away. Well, that's knowing your home field, because he was very casual, realized where he was.
Well, he had a lot of time, and you're right, Tom, knowing your field. He got to the wall, and Marlin had a play there last night.
Yep.
He not that he got there late, but when he got there, he had to try to catch the ball as well, and I think he hit the wall and it jarred his body. It didn't allow him to catch the ball cleanly.
Murph, would you consider that a quick out?
Well, you said it, Tom. 1 pitch, 1 out, and out here in the right field stands, that's what they count here at Petco Park. You see, in some ballparks they hang up the Ks for strikeouts.
Yeah.
Not here. They hang up Qs for quick outs, and it's something they started a couple years back, actually, when Greg Maddux was pitching for the Padres.
Perfect.
It was something that he did all the time. So Franklin, who's the usher out here in right field, decided, I'm going to start putting Qs up out here in right field. So every night when there's a quick out, which is 3 pitches or less, they hang a Q. The record all time is 19, and that is held by Eric Stoltz, actually, by the Padres' Eric Stoltz. But just the other night, that's Franklin right there, another quick out, so he's celebrating again as he hangs his sign. He's got some help from the fans as well.
Yeah.
But the other night when Cashman was pitching, 15 quick outs, and we told you how quickly that game went. So that's their thing here out in right field. They're hanging the Qs, and I'm just soaking it all in. So.
They're out dueling the Ks. They're
That's
getting
right.
more.
Well, Franklin used to put the Ks up at the old ballpark at Jack Murphy, and then when they came over here to Petco,
they gave somebody else the job.
No, they went electronic up here by the right field foul pole, right above the right field foul pole. They have the Ks, but it's electronic.
Well, that's not fun.
Yeah, so they've decided to go with the Qs instead. I like it.
All right, well, 2 quick outs, and Major League Baseball is trying to promote quicker play. So maybe they'll have Franklin be their ambassador.
You know what? We might have to mention that to him.
No balls and 1 strike to Blanco. Vincent's ready. And now 1 ball and 1 strike. Blanco is 0 for 2. He's grounded out to short both times tonight. Well, so much for a quick out here. So you got 2 quick outs in this inning, and that was the 3rd pitch in this one. So this at bat will not qualify for a San Diego quick out. Do I have my math right, Murph? Is that correct?
You nailed it, Tom. You've got this down.
All right, good.
It took me 2 innings to learn it out here in right field. You picked it up in 2 outs. Good for you.
Two and 2. I don't know if anybody was quicker than Greg Maddux, though. He was pounding the strike zone.
He's a guy that trusted his stuff, and he forced contact, but he forced you to swing at what he wanted you to swing at when he wanted you to swing at.
And now the 2-2 pitch to Blanco. Outside, 3 and 2.
He was the master at deception and the master at using your aggression against you.
Ashe in the on-deck circle. And a line drive base hit for Blanco into center field. He may think about 2 here. He's on his way to second, and he'll get there sliding. So a 2-out double, 5th double of the year for Andres Blanco. And it will bring Cody Ashe to the plate. Well, it's time now for the timeless moment, brought to you by Coors Banquet. On this date in '71, Rick Wise sets a club record by retiring 32 consecutive batters in a 4-3 12-inning complete game win over Chicago at the Vet. He was a very good hitter, and he also had an RBI single to win it. Bud Black is coming out to talk to Vincent. Is he going to go to the pen? No, he just signaled to the pen. So we'll have a pitching change here in the bottom of the 7th or top of the 7th inning. Padres lead it 4-1. And then Bud Black will bring in the lefty to face Cody Ashe. So we'll be back to Petco Park right after this. Phillies host the Braves on Saturday, September 27th. Are encouraged to bring a donation of Goya food products. The food drive will benefit Phil Abundance by helping with their effort to help families in need within the Latino community. Goya Foods is once again pledged to donate a minimum of 5,000 pounds of food to match the collected food products. Final weekend of games at Citizens Bank Park. Lead at 4-1, 2 outs here in the 7th. A little bit of mist coming through. Jamie and I were looking at that shot in between the break here. We were thinking there were bugs flying around because it just doesn't seem like it rains all that much here. 10th ball game for Garces. He pitched earlier in the series, and he's on to face Cody Ashe. 2.84 ERA. Breaking ball, that's in there. 0-1. Tried it again. 0-2. Probably go a little farther outside with this breaking ball. And they do. It's a fly ball right center field. Long run for Venable, and he's got it. And that'll do it for the Phils here in the 7th inning. No runs, 1 hit, 1 man left. Time to stretch here at Petco Park, with the Padres leading the Phillies 4-1. That bottom of the 7th inning. We promised earlier in the ball game the AT&T fan photo of the game, and we have this tonight's entry, and this one is coming from EMP Ty Beitler, father and son watching J-Roll break the hits record. That's a great photo right there. Prime shot, prime seats. J-Roll at that point passing Mike Schmidt for his all-time hit list. Tweet your photo to hashtag Philly fan photo for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. That's right, Jimmy, we're showing you on television right now. There's Jamie and I'm Tom. Murph's out in the stands. You probably can see him. Might stop by and see you in the dugout. Jimmy ran today, which was, as Scott Sheridan told us, another step forward for him. Another big step forward. He was doing some sprints out in the outfield. They do seem to be comfortable that he'll be back at some point. Now, whether it's this weekend in Oakland or if it's next week in Miami, I'm not sure which one that is. I think it's all going to depend on how he feels this weekend when they go to Oakland to take on the A's.
I'm sure tomorrow will be a big sign, too.
Yep.
See how he feels, how he recovers from the activity today.
Mike Adams in the ball game. And Jerko takes a strike. Jerko tonight is 1 for 2. He walked his first time up and he singled his last time up, scored a run. Mike Adams getting a chance to pitch against his former club. He was excellent when he was out here in San Diego with the Padres. In fact, he was the setup man and had that devastating slider, and he just seemed to be unhittable. He combined with Heath Bell, and even before that with Trevor Hoffman, when Bell was kind of the setup guy and Adams was sort of his complement at that same time. Adams now 36 years old. His numbers with the Padres at 1.66 earned run average in 209 games. Over towards shortstop, backhanded by Galvis. Jerko doesn't run all that well. One out. So now Yasmani Grandal. Grandal's been on base 3 times, a single and 2 walks. Some of the years, as you look at Adams, in 2009 in 37 games. I mean, that's not a lot of games, but it's still, you know, a decent amount. 0.73 ERA. 2010, he had a 1.76 earned run average. And then when the Padres traded him in 2011, this is why they got 2 prospects for him. 48 games, an ERA of 1.13 when they sent him to Texas.
That second year, he must have had a bad year. Huh?
1 ball and 1 strike.
That's impressive. Very, very impressive. It sounds like the first year they used him in particular situations, particular roles, probably a hitter at a time. Kind of reminds me of J.C. Romero. Came in for a third, came in for 2/3, get out of a big jam, you know, make some quality pitches in stressful situations. He was very good at it, obviously.
To the right side, that'll be a base hit. Grandal has 2 hits tonight. He's been on base 4 times, so a 1-out single. And that'll bring Seth Smith to the plate here in the bottom of the 7th. Smith is 2 for 3. He's got singles in his last 2 at bats, so now 9 hits for San Diego.
And that's not an easy role to play. You're coming into the meat of the game when, you know, big outs need to be recorded, and he was able to do that consistently.
Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Play, and now 1-2. Velocity's good for Mike Adams. 90 on that pitch. The next year contract was incentive based for him. I can't imagine. Well, he's not going to reach those incentives, but I can't imagine the Phillies will bring him back in 2015 with all the young pitchers they have now in the pen. Outside, 2-2. A little trouble with the command of that changeup.
Well, for guys like Adams, consistent work allows them to create the consistency with their release point.
Yeah.
And consistency with their mechanics. And he's trying to get back into that. Unfortunately, I think he's going to run out of time here in the season.
Yeah.
But it's good to see him back on the field pitching and healthy.
And whether he can sustain that health for a full season, I guess that's the question for him. See Dale Thayer in the bullpen.
My thought would be to go home in the offseason, continue the rehab. So when you come back, wherever you are next year, whether it's here or somewhere else, and you're healthy and you go out and compete and win a job, which he's very capable of doing, and have put together a full, healthy year, and the doubters will be gone.
Yeah, I would. You talk about the rehab, Jamie. Now, you're not saying don't throw it all, but more rehab the arm, strengthen the arm.
Exactly.
Than, let's say, throw bullpen sessions or anything like that. Is that what it is?
Exactly.
Get that area strengthened up.
Exactly, because you're not breaking yourself down. You're not throwing,
right,
and you're just allowing yourself to build strength throughout your whole shoulder, forearm, your lat area, front side of your shoulder, back side of your shoulder, and then you work on your core, you work on your legs as well. I did that after my first injury and did it for the remainder of my career.
Every offseason.
Every offseason. And I felt that was one of the biggest secrets. And it wasn't really a secret because I talked about it, but it was something that most people don't do in the offseason. I actually physically went to a physical therapist and acted as though I was hurt.
Fly ball, shallow right center field. Marlon Byrd comes sprinting in. A fairly easy 7th inning for Mike Adams. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left. Phillies 6 outs to go to try to get back these 3 runs. Toyota. Where will Toyota take you? Visit buyattoyota.com to find out. Toyota, let's go places. Buy Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. And buy Chevrolet. Visit your local dealer at ChevyDealer.com. Top of the 8th inning, Padres 4, Phillies 1. Dale Thayer is the new pitcher for the Padres, 4-3 with an ERA of 2.07. 55 strikeouts and 61 innings of work.
Fastball, slider, changeup pitcher, 91 to 93 with a fastball. Sliders 81 to 84. Changeups 83 to 86. Tom, a lot of facial hair in the game today, isn't there?
Yeah, his looks a little off center, doesn't it? It doesn't look even. I mean, that's an overblown Goose Gossage right there. Then Revere takes outside. It's 1 ball and no strikes. See that guy?
Mm-hmm.
That's not Goose Gossage. I think guys like Thayer, they grow it like that. See, now that's a little Raleigh fingers look right there. Guy like Thayer, you know, these guys that are growing their beards like this, it's one of those, why are you doing it? Well, because I can. It's true.
It is true. There's a little bit of personality there. Wow.
Now that's something I wouldn't mind trying to do.
I could see you in that look, yeah. Maybe 25, 30 years ago.
Whoa. 25. No, I got, not 30.
Okay.
I'd say 17 years ago.
Okay.
36, 29. Yeah, I still had hair when I was 29. I don't know if I could have grown that, but.
Hey, good luck for you.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Revere. Outside 3-2.
Yeah, they can do a little work in the production cavity and create that.
Well, I can go to a party store and probably buy that. Line drive to center field, a base hit for Ben Revere. So he's aboard to start the 8th inning. It's a good way to start the 8th for the Phils. 2 hits tonight for Revere. It's time for the Major League Notebook. Murph, take it away.
All right, Tom, it's brought to you by Gwinnett Mercy University. And does Derek Jeter have a flair for the dramatic or what? Playing in his final homestand, game 1 of his final homestand in his career, homered in the 6th inning today. It's his first home run at Yankee Stadium this year. He only has 4 on the season, and it was part of a 3-2 victory for the Yanks. They actually walked off on a Adam Lind error in the Toronto Blue Jays against the Blue Jays. So they pick up some ground in the wild card, and Jeter is a big part of that. As Ben Revere picks up his 47th stolen base of the season. And also some news out of Los Angeles, the Angels, Josh Hamilton. He had just come back from injury. He had missed 11 games because of a shoulder injury. Well, today he missed the game because of sharp stabbing pain in his chest. Said that was making it very difficult for him to breathe. They're not thinking any kind of cardiac thing, but some kind of injury happening inside it, in that chest area. So right now he is questionable for their postseason run. So that could be a very big loss for those guys.
That would be a huge loss for those guys as Freddie Galvis gets a bunt single.
And Tom, just to add to the notebook, it's raining in San Diego.
We understood there was like a little mist. Is it a mist that's going on down there, Murph?
Well, yeah, but down here that's like a torrential downpour.
Well, they're going to have to try to find the tarp again.
Well, I think it stopped, so it only lasted for like a minute. But we're all very upset down here.
Could use the water here.
See, JV's promoting the land in which he lives.
Garden's a little dry.
Mm-hmm. By the way, Jeter now with 3,453 career hits. He's all alone in 6th place behind Tris Speaker, number 5. He won't catch Speaker, of course, so he's going to finish 6th. That's incredible. And Murph's right, though. There is a flair to the dramatic for him. He homered for his 3,000th hit. There's an outstanding commercial that's running that's going to start running in the next few days. There's been a bunch of them with Jeter where he basically has a car service taking him to the ballpark, which I think he does every day if he's not driving, and he has them stop a few blocks away from Yankee Stadium, and he walks the last few blocks. And it actually happened. It wasn't staged. Well, it was staged because they followed him, but you know, the people that were in it were actual fans that he was running into as he was going to the ballpark.
That's pretty cool.
1 ball, 2 strikes. You know, they had the commercial where he, you know, looked into the crowd and people were tipping their hat, and all these different superstars were tipping their hat, kind of like he does when he, you know, gets up to the plate. Well, this one takes the cake. 1 ball, 2 strikes here at the top of the 8th inning. Up and in, 2-2. Not wasting any time. He's got guys warming up in the bullpen. He's got a righty and a lefty. The lefty is Torres. Ruff's on deck. Stauffer and Torres are warming up in the bullpen. Foul ball, remains 3-2.
Torres is warming up with the protective hat on tonight.
Yeah, he is.
Last thing he was warming up with his regular hat on.
Swing and a miss. Bird is struck out. 1 away here in the 8th inning. And now Darren Ruff is up.
It's a good old-fashioned fastball up and away. Marlins swings right through that.
Now the Padres will try to set up for 2 here in the top of the 8th inning. Ruff is 1 for 3. He is struck out. He's doubled and scored. He's lined out. Takes outside. 1 ball and no strikes.
There's a big hole between first and second base there. See Darren shoot a ball through there. See Freddie Galvis go to third base. Or drive the ball out of the ballpark.
Tie up the ball game. Popped him up. He should be out of play. And will be. Now 2-1 to Darren Ruff. Another foul ball. 2-2. Outside, 3-2. So Ruff's working this count. Darren's double one down the left field line. He's got Franco on deck. Phillies down by 3. 3 runs charged to Kyle Kendrick, 1 charge to Antonio Bastardo. Swing and a miss, back-to-back strikeouts. 2 outs, and here's Franco coming up.
Just good fastball out over the plate. Here it is. Hit it if you can. I'm going to challenge you.
Franco has struck out twice. He's grounded out to shortstop.
Tie game right here.
You feeling it? You feeling the first major league home run for Franco?
Fastball. He's going to sit on that fastball and he's going to give it a ride.
Outside, 1-0. Thayer's got one of those. I mean, everybody has a different personality in their windup. His is very different the way he comes to the plate. Kind of rocks back and boom. 1 ball, 1 strike. He at times is closed for the Padres. Not this year, but in past years. Phone in one hand, he leaned to left and grabbed it. Now he's putting the phone away.
Are saying it's getting closer.
Yeah, I heard that.
You better be ready.
There's a row of fans. There's a couple of balls that have fallen below them, and that one just came shy of them. In the dirt, 2-2. Galvis holds up at first. Revere holds up at third. Rondal. Swing and a miss. He got him. Breaking ball. 3 straight strikeouts for Thayer after allowing the first 2 runners to get on base. Tough night for Maikel Franco. He has struck out 3 times this evening. Phillies leave a couple. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th inning here in San Diego. Appreciation Day is Sunday, September 28th at 1:35 when the Atlanta Braves come to town. All fans coming to the ballpark will receive the 2015 schedule in the form of a Citizens Bank Park Fathead. Tickets can be purchased by going to Phillies.com. Cesar Jimenez is going to take over here at the bottom of the 8th inning.
Tom, I just read where King Felix just recorded his 233rd strikeout for the season.
Really?
Surpassing his old record. So that's pretty impressive.
Oh, the Mariners record?
No, his own personal record.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he is a special pitcher. He's one of those guys that if they make it to the postseason, it'll be the chance for him to get on that kind of stage.
Exactly. Which is what he's been deserving.
Yeah. Numbers on Jimenez. This is his 15th game. Inside, 2-1. That one's in there. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Amarista. Amarista has 2 RBIs tonight. Quackenbush. That one's off the hands in the center field, a base hit. So Amarista's aboard with his second hit. And that'll bring Maben to the plate. Tomorrow night, Derek Gunn and Ray Dittinger are joined by Kevin Gilbride as they evaluate Nick Foles and Kirk Cousins. That's the matchup between the Eagles and the Redskins coming up this weekend. 2 afterthoughts in the quarterback-rich draft of 2012. Plus, Ray predicts the scores of the 5 biggest games around the NFL. The new Total Football Show Quick Slants, presented by Nissan. Weeknights at 6 on Comcast Sportsnet. All right, from a strategy standpoint, you got a pinch hitter in the on-deck circle in Liriano. Do you have Maben try to bunt here to get an extra run into scoring position? I guess not. It's inside. 1 ball, no strikes. Maben's taking a look down at Glenn Hoffman in the third base coach's box. And Maurice has got decent speed over at first. By the way, they're going to have to name that third base coach's box after Glenn Hoffman at some point. Been there forever.
He's been here a long time. Great guy, too, by the way. Got to know him a little bit over the years.
Trevor's older brother?
Yes.
1 ball and 2 strikes. That one floats in.
Knows the game quite well.
That one's off the hands. This will be a tough play. Maben runs well. He hesitated. It gets away from Ruff. And Amarista around third, being held there. That'll put runners on first and third. It's going to be a single and an E1. The error charged to Jimenez to allow the runner to go to third. And the Padres threatening here in the bottom of the 8th inning. A swinging bunt. Maben still runs well. He looked the runner, and that cost him.
My theory on that is you got to catch that ball and you got to spin quickly, but you got to stay down in an athletic position. He kind of stood up there. You're right, he did check the runner. I don't think the runner was going anywhere. You got to get it out. The key there is to get it out. Now you've got nobody out, men on first and third.
And Reimer Liriano is going to pinch hit for the Padres. Runners on first and third with nobody out. 4-1 Padres on top here in the bottom of the 8th. Foul ball. It's 0-1. Jimenez has allowed a couple of inherited runners to score. But his ERA is still at 0, trying to keep it that way. the Phillies will bring the infield in. They can't allow another run to score. At least that's their thinking. He went, and there's one away. Pitch that tied him up inside. And now the top of the order, Spangenberg will come up. They got to play the infield in again. Now Spangenberg, I think, is too difficult to double up. And again, they're trying to keep the run from coming across the plate. Keep this at a 3-run game instead of adding another one. And he bunts. The runner's not coming home. Jimenez waited. Oh, he did get him at first base. He looked the runner back and then stayed in that athletic position and fired a strike over to first. The putout goes 1-3. And there are 2 outs.
Spangenberg lays down a very good bunt. Jimenez does. He checks out that runner, but keeps himself in a good position to make that good athletic move, which is to pivot and make a strong throw, not allowing any of the base runners to advance.
All right, so now after a conversation on the mound, they'll go after Will Venable. This is a gettable guy considering lefty on lefty. Phillies will have Brown, Nieves, and Blanco in the top of the 9th, trying to keep it at a 4-1 game. Outside, 1 ball and no strikes. Center field. Revere going back toward the track, to the wall. He jumps, and it is gone. A 3-run home run for Will Venable, and it's now a 7-1 ball game. First runs allowed this year for Cesar Jimenez. I thought there was a chance he was going to stay in the yard. It was just going to be a fly ball to center. Got the foot down.
Center cut fastball down the middle. Down. Oof, just out of the outstretched glove of Ben Revere. Center field.
Revere played it well. He went back to the spot. Here's Jerko. He'll take a strike. It's 0-1. third. Franco gobbles it up and across the diamond. But the Padres score 3 on a 3-run center field home run by Will Venable. We'll go to the 9th inning. Last chance for the Phillies. They trail at 7-1. Well, usually when there's a long ball or two, Jamie, the W. Mason deliveries of the game are a little easier, and the Padres have a couple long balls tonight.
Yeah, here in the 2nd inning, Amarista, kind of a little bit of a replay what we saw the other night. Was on a fastball. And then here in the 8th inning, Will Venable on a 2-0 pitch gets a center cut fastball. It's a 3-run home run to center field to give the Padres a 7-1 lead.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one for the Phillies to come back with. That's the 7th home run of the year for Venable. Tim Stoffer will come into the ball game. 41st game for Tim. 3-2, a 3.41 ERA. He's been a pretty durable guy for the Padres during his career. And he'll face Dominic Brown to lead things off. Line score across the board. Phillies fell behind 1-0, tied it at 1 in the 4th, but then the Padres retook the lead in the bottom of the 4th inning, and they have not trailed since. Brown takes outside, 1 ball, no strikes. Dominic is 1 for 3, has the RBI tonight. Play 1-1. Phillies will be off to Oakland after this game. 3 games at Oakland and then on to Miami. Off day on Monday. And Brown lines one to right field. That'll be in for a base hit. Off the base of the wall. And Dominic will get to second base with a leadoff double here in the top of the 9th inning. Now tomorrow, 9:30 first pitch. Phillies pregame live gets underway at 9 o'clock. Phillies in the Oakland A's. Here's Cesar Hernandez, who will pinch hit for Will Nieves. Cesar 5 for 28. Overall hitting .227. And a line drive, base hit it to center field. Brown will be held at third. Ooh, they might as well send him. He's going to go. Pete McCann was being conservative. Maben kind of just let him go. It was kind of a free pass, and then he bobbled it. And that, I think Dominic did that all on his own. I don't think they're going to give an RBI to Cesar Hernandez. I think that's when we want to be in an error. So the Phillies get one back. There's a group of Phillies fans behind the dugout that are really trying to implore their team to not give up here. They got their rally hats on. They were throwing a lot of positive thoughts in as they were going to the dugout in between innings. Blanco takes a strike, 0-1.
I like that aggressive swinging right there by Hernandez. That drove that ball right back through the middle.
Out toward right center field. That's well hit. Venable going back into the alley. Big part of the ballpark. Makes the catch. Any other ballpark, and that would have been a two-run home run for Andres Blanco. Instead, there's one out here in the ninth inning. Here's Grady Sizemore. That's a hanger.
Yep, he's hung two changeups. One to Dominic Brown and one to Blanco right there.
So now Sizemore will pitch hit. Grady pitch hitting for Jimenez, hitting .270 with 3 homers and 12 RBIs as a Philly. Curveball. Curveball again. 0-2. Phillies have had a lot of success out here at Petco Park. Last time the Phillies lost a series to the Padres in San Diego was in 2006. Up and in, 1-2. Game live is coming up next. Ricky Metallico is standing by to break this ball game down as we wrap up the Phils of the Padres, the final game of this series. Robbie Erlin started this ball game for the Padres. He went the first 6, about 5 hits and 1 run. Here's Revere, runner goes, pitches a strike, no throw, defensive indifference allowing Hernandez to get to second. No balls, 1 strike. Pretty close, 1-1. Ball back toward the middle into center field, a base hit. Hernandez is going to score. And now all of a sudden it's a 7-3 game. Ben Revere has 3 hits tonight. Maybe there's a little life in that batting race. So it's 7-3. And Chase Utley is going to pinch hit for Freddie Galvis. right there with pride, fighting Phils. Runner goes, chopper to first, big hop for Medica, and that will do it. The Padres have taken 3 of 4 from the Phils. Phillies did score 2 here in the 9th inning, but they win it tonight. The Padres do by a final score of 7-3. Well, Alexi Amarista had himself a heck of a series for the Padres, and he played well not only offensively but also defensively for San Diego. That carried over here tonight as well for the Pods. Phillies now will head to Oakland. Our Chevrolet player of the game, Robbie Erlin, who stepped into this rotation for the injured Tyson Ross, did a heck of a job. 6 innings tonight for the left-hander.
Yeah, he threw the ball pretty well tonight. Mixed his pitches quite well. Kept the ball down in the zone. And really, when he needed to make some pitches, he went to his changeup. There you saw he elevated his fastball to Marlon Berg. And his defense played very well behind him. See the play right there by Gurko. And Jerko get the big out to get out of the inning. And that is our Chevrolet player of the game.